I'm Trey Henry. I am the programmer, I guess, for Mosaic. I also wrote Urania, which is astrology software, and Georatio, which is geomancy software. And I'm here with my magical bestie, Heather Freeman.
Hey, and I was the artist, I guess, on Mosaic, and I've done a bunch of podcasts and art stuff for my job.
Right on.
Don't make me laugh. All right. So in Mosaic, there's 50 tiles, and they're each split in half and then shuffled and then recombined, and that becomes the basis for your reading.
So one of the things that we wanted to do with Mosaic was to not just have a computer's random number generator produce a random array of things, but to actually have an interaction with the user, which would is a physics-based interaction in Mosaic, but gives you something akin to sort of shuffling cards or some sort of predictive sortilege.
So each card and background can take on a particular elemental association. These are using sort of your standard Western esoteric colors: green for earth, yellow for air, a reddish orange for fire, and blue for water.
So Mosaic is currently in beta. We're releasing it to the world so that anybody can play with it and have a good time with it. But it's probably a little rough around the edges and it might have some bugs or other issues. And there is a feedback mechanism, which Heather put together a very beautiful feedback form, so that you can provide us with any issues or any things that you would like to see, or just to provide feedback. So the first time that you launch Mosaic, you will need to consecrate it before you can actually cast a chart with it. And consecration is a way of making this instance of Mosaic uniquely yours. You will be prompted to provide an image in a specific format, which will be a sort of indicator tile or a custom tile. We'll only provide 49 tiles out of the 50 tile set, and you provide the 50th.
In most divination systems, you usually consecrate a new deck of cards or a new set of tiles. And the same thing is true in a digital context. So in this case, you're going to be consecrating this deck to yourself and your own purposes with this unique 50th tile.
To provide the 50th tile for Mosaic and to go through this consecration workflow within the application, you need to drag and drop a 1024 by 1024 PNG image. For the beta, this is very specific, so you will need to crop or modify your image to exactly fit these specifications. Later on, we might provide some easier mechanisms for putting the image in here, but it's very specific for right now. I'm going to drop an image of Heather and I, and you can see that it gives you a preview of what the tile will look like. You may also provide a custom name and description. And you may also select if you wish to have the image be tinted based on the elemental association. The name that you provide will also be used to seed a random number generator, which will be used to form charts initially. And this will make more sense once we get into the actual chart casting itself.
So in this case, we're using a photographic image and there's not an alpha channel. But if you're an artist and you like working with alpha channels and you want to create your own drawings for this, you can absolutely do this. In this case, you would make a image with a transparent background, for example. And if you made that image black and white, anything that's white is going to take that foreground elemental color if you check that tint based on element box.
Heather and I have picked a question to do a demonstration of Mosaic, something that's timely and in the news. And our question is, what does the world need to know about Twitter in 2023? We think that this will be an interesting area for us to examine. After you go through this consecration flow of putting in your image, creating a name, creating a description, you'll click on the Consecrate and Cast Chart button. And every time you cast a chart in Mosaic, you'll have a few seconds to see the tiles as they are randomly placed. And then the tiles will be hidden and you will go into the shuffling of the tiles. So there's the few seconds that you get to see the chart. And now we're in the shuffling mode. Simply click and drag to drag the moon puck around the chart. And in this way, you can shuffle the tiles. And the tile shuffling, as you can see, is a physics-based shuffling. As the tiles move, they will change their elemental associations. And so during this part, you'd keep the question in mind. In our case, what does the world need to know about Twitter in 2023? And when you feel that the chart is ready, in the same way that shuffling your tarot cards or picking tiles out of a bag or whatever other form of sortilege you use. Once you get that sort of click of this chart is ready, then press the space bar and a chart will be formed.
Okay, so we've got this chart now, and Trey and I are going to take a stab at interpreting it. Again, the question is, what does the world need to know about Twitter in 2023? Inquiring minds all want to know. There's a couple of different ways you can interpret a spread like this. So we're just going to kind of go over the major ways we've been approaching it. The first thing is we start off in this center cluster of 4 tiles. So here you can see Trey is clicking on them, and that'll highlight them and tell you where that tiles matches. So we've got the human, sort of our iconic human figure. Makes sense with Twitter to me. Notice that the figure is yellow for air, so it's very verbal. And then it's in a context of fire in the background. It's red.
Yes.
So
yeah,
that sounds like Twitter to me. I don't know.
People on fire. Also